My mom didn't come home last night.
What's your name?
I have no name.
Wyoming, December 3rd. The wind was a living thing clawing at anything warm. Jacob Holt stepped down from his battered Ford at 7 in the morning, and the cold punched the breath out of him. Ice crystals had already formed on his beard, like someone had salted it overnight. He pulled the collar of his red and black plaid coat higher and trudged toward the barn to feed the horses. That was when he saw her. A child stood just outside the barn door, small as a fence post, drowning in a faded pink coat 2 sizes too big. Blonde braids stuck out from under a knit cap. She clutched a plastic doll with one eye missing. Her lips were blue. She looked up at him with eyes the colour of winter sky and said, "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night." Jacob froze. Closest neighbour was 10 miles away. No school bus came within 6. No child belonged out here. "What's your name, little one?" "Emily. Emily Reed." Her voice cracked like thin ice. "We live past the old red barn. Mum went out for milk before the storm got bad. She never came back." Jacob's stomach turned over. The old red barn, 20 years abandoned. Cursed, the old-timers said. A family had died inside in 1998, carbon monoxide from a faulty stove. No one had lived there since. Not a soul. He knelt in the snow so their eyes were level. "Emily, did you walk all this way alone?" She nodded, tears freezing on her lashes. "Mommy said if anything ever happened and she didn't come back, I should find Mr. Holt, that he was a good man, that he would help." Jacob felt the years collapse inside his chest. Only one woman in his whole life had ever called him Mr. Holt like that, soft and respectful, like he was someone worth trusting. 31 years ago. He stood up slowly. "Get in the truck, darling. We'll go find your mama." Emily climbed in without a word, doll pressed to her heart. The drive took 23 minutes. The heater fought a losing battle. Jacob kept stealing glances at the girl. She never blinked, just stared straight ahead as the wipers pushed snow aside. They reached the red barn. Paint had flaked away until it looked more rust than red. The front door hung open on one hinge. Snow had drifted across the threshold, but only one set of prints led out. Tiny boot prints, fresh, coming toward the ranch. None going in. Jacob's mouth went dry. "Stay here," he told her. Inside smelled of rot and cold iron. The old pot-bellied stove sat in the corner, black and dead. No ash, no warmth, no sign anyone had lived here in 2 decades, yet on the rough wooden table lay a glass of milk, half full, a skin of ice on top. Jacob backed out fast, heart hammering against his ribs. Emily was standing in the snow, crying silently. "Where is she?" she whispered. "We'll find her," he said, and meant it like a vow. They spent the day searching, up the frozen creek, along the tree line where the pines sagged under white weight, past the old well with its broken windlass. They called until their voices gave out. Nothing answered but the wind. By dusk, the temperature was falling through the floor. Jacob loaded Emily back into the truck. "You're staying with me tonight. Tomorrow we'll get the sheriff and dogs." On the drive home, she spoke once, so quietly he almost missed it. "Mommy said you saved her life a long time ago, that you were the only person in the world she ever trusted completely." Jacob's hands tightened on the wheel until his knuckles went bloodless. 1998. He was 28 that winter. Strong, solitary, already half in love with the quiet. One night the blizzard came down so hard it erased the horizon. He found a car half buried on the county road, engine dead, windows frosted over. Inside, a young woman lay unconscious across the front seat. In the back, an 8-month-old baby wailed in a carrier, face purple with cold. He carried them both to his truck, cranked the heat, wrapped them in horse blankets. The woman came around slowly. Her name was Lily Reed. Her lip was split. She had a black eye just beginning to bloom. She was running from a husband who drank and hit. Jacob kept them 3 days, fed them, let them sleep by the fire. never asked questions she didn't want to answer. On the third morning, she said she had a cousin in Oregon who would take her. Jacob emptied his savings, $5,000 in cash, and pressed it into her hand. "If you ever need anything," he told her, "you send word. Doesn't matter how many years go by." Lily kissed his cheek, tears freezing as they fell. "I'm naming her Emily," she whispered, "after my grandmother, and if she ever needs a safe place, I'll tell her to find Mr. Holt." Then they were gone. He never heard from her again. Until today. Night at the ranch, Jacob built a roaring fire, made cocoa thick enough to stand a spoon in. Emily sat on the old leather couch wrapped in a quilt his own mother had sewn. She drank half the cocoa, then fell asleep still clutching that one-eyed doll. Jacob sat in the rocking chair and watched the flames until the logs burned low. Something about the doll gnawed at him. He'd seen it before. He went to the closet, pulled down a box marked Miss, 1999. Inside were things he couldn't bring himself to throw away. A tiny knit cap, a silver rattle, and a cheap plastic doll with blonde hair and painted blue eyes. One of the eyes had fallen out years ago. He stared at the doll in the box, then at the identical doll in Emily's arms. Same missing eye, same faint crack across the left cheek. His skin prickled like the air before lightning. He stepped outside to call Sheriff Tom Brewer. "Tom, I need you out here, and pull anything you've got on a Lily Reed and a daughter Emily. Accident, missing persons, anything." Tom arrived 40 minutes later with a thermos of coffee and a thin file. "Found this in the state database," he said quietly, handing it over. Jacob read by the porch light. Lily Reed, age 34, and daughter Emily Reed, age 9, killed in a single-car accident on an icy road outside Billings, Montana, 2 winters ago. Skidded into a ravine. Both pronounced dead at the scene. Bodies recovered and buried in Billings Cemetery. The paper slipped from Jacob's fingers and fluttered into the snow. He went back inside. The couch was empty. The quilt lay folded neatly. The one-eyed doll was gone. The front door stood open. Fresh, child-sized prints led away from the house, straight into the endless white, then simply stopped 20 feet out, as if the snow had swallowed her whole. Jacob ran into the night screaming her name until his throat bled. Nothing came back but the wind. Morning. The storm broke just before dawn. The world was blinding bright and cruelly silent. Jacob stood where the footprints ended. He searched in widening circles for hours. Nothing. No doll. No pink coat. No child. Only, half buried under fresh powder near the stove, a single sheet of lined paper. The kind little girls use for school. In careful round handwriting. "Thank you, Uncle Jacob. Mommy came home last night. We're together now. You kept your promise. We love you." The paper was dry, untouched by snow. Every December after that, Jacob drove to the old red barn when the first big storm hit. He left a glass of milk on the table, whole milk, the way Lily used to drink it. Some years the glass was empty in the morning. Some years the one-eyed doll sat on the windowsill smiling. He never told anyone. He just nodded at the empty air and said, "Evening, ladies. You stay warm now." Then he walked back through the snow to his truck, beard white as the fields, eyes wet for reasons no one ever saw. And every year, somewhere out past the red barn, a little girl in a pink coat waved once before the wind carried her away. Thank you for watching.